All right, so we have been learning how to practice such a career through these 11 Parittas and sutras. We started with the Parittas that involve an animal, right? So we talk about Mora Sutta that involve a peacock. What does Sutta involve? A quill. Then we want to Kanda Sutta or Paritta that involved snakes, right? Now, those are all the Parittas and Suttas. Either the main character is an animal or talk about animals. Now we're going to move to Angulimala Sutta, which a lot of you already knew, right? So any one of you want to share what you know about Angulimala? All right, Thomas, go ahead.
Okay, so Angulimala was a like. Can I tell like the story?
No, just mention whatever you remember in your memory.
Okay, so Angulimala was a student. His teacher told him to repay him for all that time. He had to get 1,000 fingers. I forgot if it was right or left. And he actually got over 1,000 fingers because like the animals took the fingers, and then so he actually had to like get all the fingers by like camping down these areas. And then one day, once he got at 999 fingers, he he noticed that his mom was coming in, and he had no choice but to kill her mom. Luckily, the Buddha was there, and the Angulimala wasn't couldn't get the Buddha. Couldn't get the Buddha. And then once the Buddha like ordained him and told him to not kill like everyone, Angulimala became a monk, and then he actually used such a Kriya to save a woman's life. You're muted.
Okay, Andrew, you wanna add?
So basically, since in Gulumala, I think he was smart, and then his classmates were told the teacher that he was sleeping with his wife, and the teacher got mad and gave him like a task as getting 1,000 fingers, and he got 999, and he was about to kill his mother for the last one, and the Buddha saw him, and Angulimala tried to kill Buddha, but he could never reach him, and he became a monk at the end.
All right, very good. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch a little video clip, then we'll read the story. Then if we still have time, we will actually talk about the actual Paritta. All right, so a lot of you already knew about the storyline. Maybe you haven't read the detailed story, so we're going to read the detailed story. Okay, then maybe next week, not today, because tomorrow a lot of you will have a trip early in the morning, so we're not going to watch the movie tonight. I'll show you the actual movie of Angulimala, shot by, the movie was made by by Thai director in Thailand. It's subtitled in English. The storyline's a little different because they want to get excitement, and they change the storyline a little bit, but the message is the same. So we'll watch that movie probably next week. Okay, so but let's enjoy the short video clip before we read the story.
Buddha never forgot the promise he had made to King Bimbisara.
Now it is time to meet the king of Magadha. Let me go to his capital, Rajagriha.
Buddha stayed in a hill called Vulture's Peak with his disciples.
Oh, the Buddha has come to our palace. Let me go and hear his teachings.
Bimbisara often heard the teachings of Buddha. Soon the number of followers grew very large. Days passed.
It is a long time since I left Kapilavasti. I promised myself that I will return after finding the solution. I need to visit my father.
With his disciples, the Buddha began the long walk to his childhood home.
You know, our Prince Siddhartha, who has become Buddha, is about to visit our kingdom. I'm happy to hear this news.
Minister, what I'm hearing, is that true? My son has become a great leader after all. I'm so proud of him.
Yes, my lord. Even I am eager to see him.
Did you see my son? How is he?
My lord, I saw him and his followers carrying a wooden bowl and going from door to door in the village begging for food. Then they returned to where they were staying and ate their simple meal together in silence.
What? A royal prince has become a beggar?
Immediately, the king rode to Buddha's place.
Father, how are you? Please, come in.
Son, how are you? Is it true what I hear? That you beg for your food each morning?
Yes, this is true. It is our custom to beg.
Our custom? You are a royal prince.
Father, this is true. But I come from a long line of teachers, the Buddhas of the past. These teachers have always been very humble. They receive their food from the people they meet. When I say it is our custom to beg, I mean it is the custom of Buddhas. I will teach you my findings.
Buddha preached his teaching to his father. King Suddhodana listened quietly for a long time.
It is true. You are far more than just my son. I bow before you. Please accept me, who once wanted you to be a king, as one of your disciples.
Very much, Father.
Soon afterwards, Buddha's wife Yashodhara, his son Rahula, his aunt, and many others from the palace also became his followers.
We were so unhappy when you rode away from us so many years ago. But now, you have brought us so much happiness and peace of mind with your teachings of the truth.
One hot day, the Buddha set off as usual to beg food from a nearby village.
I see something wrong in this village. Absolute silence. The streets are deserted. What is going on? Where is everyone? Ah, I can see a woman.
The woman was seen hurrying away.
Sister, why is everyone in such a rush?
Oh, you seem to know nothing. It's that terrible killer, Angulimala. He's roaming the countryside around here. Even the king and his soldiers are afraid to try and catch him. We're going to the city for safety.
Who is this killer? Angulimala? Who makes everyone so afraid and unhappy? I must go and meet him.
Meanwhile, Angulimala, who was sitting outside his den, planned the day's work. He was a fierce-looking robber.
So far, I have 99 fingers chopped off the hands of people I killed.
One more finger and my necklace will be complete. I wonder who will be my next victim. At that moment, the Buddha appeared, walking slowly and calmly. How dare he walk past my den? I'll have one of his fingers to finish off my necklace. That will teach him a lesson. Down he jumped and began to run after the Buddha. But run as he might, he couldn't catch up with him. Stop! Stand still! The Buddha turned and looked Angulimala in the eye.
I have stopped. I am still... It's you who needs to stop.
Don't try to fool me. I can see you moving.
Ah, but I meant something else.
Something else?
I have stopped. I am still because I never harm. I never kill. You can't stop. You'll never be still as long as you harm, as long as you kill.
No one had ever spoken to me like this before. I am a bit worried. This man clearly isn't afraid of me. He became even more furious. Don't you know who I am? I am Angulimala, the killer with a necklace of fingers. I am the terrible killer.
What you need, my friend, is to kill your hate and greed.
Friend? Did you say friend? I am surprised. No one had called me a friend for a very long time. I don't have friends. What have I been doing? No wonder no one wants to be my friend.
Angulimala, why don't you come and live with me and my friends? If you were brave, you could make a fresh start. Now, that would be a real adventure.
Are you sure this will be an adventure?
Oh yes, the greatest adventure of your life.
Then I will stay with you and your friends. These people are kind. They share their food and talk to me very kindly. No one is afraid of me. In the morning, he threw away his terrible necklace of fingers. Then he cut off his long hair and beard and put on the same simple robes. I am feeling better. Thus, Angulimala, the terrible adventurer too, became a disciple of the great Buddha. The Buddha smiled at Angulimala, who smiled back. Then he got up and went off to help his new friends collect their food for the day.
All right, so this is just a real small video clip. So we're going to read the real story. Let me share the story. Okay, so I will need each and every one of you to read a paragraph for me. Let me start with Sarah. Sarah, could you read the first paragraph, please?
The dramatic story of Angulimala dual transformation from a diligent, virtuous student to a notorious serial killer, and once again into a compassionate, spiritually perfect arahant, has been retold millions of times for over 2,600 years. It has never failed to evoke powerful emotions in the reader or listener, both young and old. This presentation of Angulimala is designed to cater to a wide readership, ranging from young children, teenagers, to adults.
Thank you, Tami. So even though a lot of you already knew the Angulimala story. There are so many things that we can learn out of Angulimala. No matter how many times you read it, you still will learn something out of this. Now, what do you think are the reasons that we learn about Angulimala? Why do we learn? Why do we read about Angulimala? Where?
Like it is to show how Buddhism is for everyone and can change everyone and show how effective Buddhist practices are that can change someone evil to good.
So just by reading this first paragraph, like Win just said, we can change, right? So Angulimala initially was a very diligent, virtuous student. He's a great student. In fact, he's one of the best students in the class, the best. Then he became a notorious serial killer. From the best to the worst. Then became a compassionate, spiritually perfect arahant.
I have a question.
So that's why, just by reading the first paragraph, what you need to understand is we as human beings changes always, right? We're good at time, bad at the other time. Okay, we can be good again. So that's what the first paragraph is telling you. And millions of people read it, and they still read it today. Thomas, go ahead.
What does serial mean?
Serial? So serial means you kill one after another. So many people are killed. So that is a serial killer.
Oh,
All right. Okay. Tata Joe, could you read this, please? Parents? Joe? Could you read the second paragraph, Tata Joe?
Yeah, did you call me?
Parents can you read?
Parents can introduce the moral lessons of the story of Angulimala to their children as young as 3 years old by reading in sequence the captions under each of the illustrations. The illustrations themselves unfold the life episode of Angulimala to the children, as the famous Chinese philosopher Confucius once said, "It pictures the worth of 1,000 words." The child can thus better grasp and sense of story through the graphic illustrations provided. Parents can use them to narrate in simple language the sequence of events and happenings of the legendary story and the moral lessons to be drawn.
Thank you, Pat. So this is again talking about the stories. All right, let's read on. Let's see. Okay, Wayne, go ahead.
Teenagers and youths will find this story a classic that makes for enjoyable reading. They will at the same time benefit from understanding the underlying principles such as the eternal doctrine of karma, Sanskrit karma, contained in the episode. In addition, the story will inspire as well as serve as a guide to their personal development and progress in life. Parents will find the story an important guide to parenting. They will be reminded to bring up their child with metta, loving kindness, and karuna, compassion. This will enable them to direct their child to tread the Arya Magga, the noble path of the Dhamma, Expectant mothers and their immediate families will draw deep sadha or confidence essential for motherhood from the patron saints, Arhat and Gulimala. They will also appreciate the inherent power of the protective blessings in the Angulimala Paritta and of the importance of observing Gaba Parihara for ensuring a safe and successful delivery.
Thank you, Dad. So the Angulimala story is a great story, lovely story, give us a lot of lessons, and also it can be used as a parita to protect from dangers, to wish a pregnant mother to deliver the baby safely, right? So it has so many different angles, and you as a student can take a lot of lesson from this. We as parents can take lesson from this. Okay, and also you can use this in your life when circumstances are met. All right, okay. Okay, let's see. Tami Marina, could you read this, please? In addition,
the book can be used for staging a drama. Finally, to participate to the use of the book as a text for comprehension, as a list of questions is provided at the end of the story as well.
very good. Thank you, Tami. How many of you acted in Angulimala play in your life before, at a monastery, at a temple, anywhere? Raise your hand.
No, we have like we have. Oh, we did.
No one?
We did.
Didn't we like ages ago?
We did not.
So we did that when we had a summer camp in Stockton Temple about 4 years ago.
God, that's barely even now.
Right, so Miranda did it. Okay, Thomas, have you done it? Or you forgot to lower down your hand?
I forgot to lower down my hand. Wait, is it the Half Moon Bay camp?
No, we didn't do that in Half Moon Bay camp. We did that in Stockton camp with Shantanita. Okay, all right. So not many of you. All right. So maybe next time when we have a camp, we can do this as our play. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So this is the map of ancient India. Okay. So we will come back later because these are the names of the small cities in the kingdom during the time of Buddha. Okay, so for example, the Gaya here, Buddha Gaya, okay, and Magadha, Varanasi, okay. So these names change a little bit today. Okay. All right, we will come back later after we understand. All right, so Tata Daniel, could you read this please after?
Are you talking about me?
Yes, that. Can you read this paragraph after?
After several years of being happily married,
Mantani
Bantani, the wife
of
Gaga,
Bhagawagaga,
the
Purohita Ramana,
banana, in the court of kings,
Tasanadi,
Kazandi of the kingdom of Kursi,
Kosala,
Kosawa gave birth to a baby boy. He was delightful, healthy, cute baby. Both
Mantani,
tiny and backward
War,
were overjoyed at being blessed
with a son after waiting impatiently for so many years. However, at the time of birth, the middle of the night, Bhagawa had noticed that a brilliant light glittered from the weapons of the night gods protecting their form.
Thank you, Dad. So, one Angulimala was pregnant.
Angulimala was pregnant.
In his mother's womb. So the father and mother was really very happy. That's what they have been waiting for. But one thing really strange, weird happened. In the middle of the night, the weapons of all the guards protecting their home, because his father is a counselor for the king, a minister. So those weapons that the night guards were holding all glitter. So that's something very unusual, right? So let's read on. All right, Kathleen, me? This
happening troubled him. He could not help feeling that the strange light was somehow connected with his son's birth. He wondered whether it was an auspicious sign. He could not tell for sure. He had not come across such a mysterious happening before. He was therefore anxious to find out whether the strange phenomenon was a good or bad omen. It was a common practice in India, particularly among the royal and families, to consult astrologers to interpret any unusual event or incident. But since it was midnight, he had to wait until the next morning to consult the royal astrologer.
Thank you, me. The aristocratic. The aristocratic means people of higher rank, like ministers. Okay. So when his father saw all these weapons glittered, he knew this is something strange, something weird. He knew this is not normal. So he's curious whether it's a good thing or bad thing. So in Asian country, whether it's India or Thailand or Burma, when things like this happened, people wanted to know. So they go to an astrologer. So even in this country, you must have some signs like palmologist, palm reader, psychic. So some people actually believe in those stuff. Now, Asian country believe in that quite a lot. In Burma today, everybody believe in it. So being an Indian, okay, being a minister, he actually went to the royal astrologer. All right, so that Kevin, could you read the next one, please? Early next morning. Kevin, could you read, please? Early next morning.
Early next morning, Bhagawa hurried to the royal astrologer to chart his son's horoscope and to seek his respected opinion about the strange incident that had taken place at the time of his birth. He broke to him the happy news of the birth of his son and requested him to cast his son's future. The royal astrologer carefully referred to his books and charts a few times over to make sure that he had read the astrological signs and planetary calculations rightly.
Thank you, Dad. So it is our Asian culture, our Burmese culture, whenever a baby is born, they note down the time exactly, and they go to an astrologer. Now, astrologer will look at the stars that you are born under and align that with your mom's and your dad's stars. Then they will calculate and they will predict your future. Same time, they'll pick a name for you. Okay, so a lot of us, including myself, and my kid's name are chosen that way. Now raise your hand if you believe your name was chosen that way. Those of you who has Burmese name. English name, probably not. Okay.
Yeah.
Thomas, definitely your name probably is not, because English name does not carry like that.
Well, here's the thing. I looked on the source thing, and then like it was like a long time ago. I think like I looked on the source, and it was like a lot of bad. It was like a lot of good things about me, but then the only downside of it was the Thomas the Train.
Right.
And that was the only thing I hated about it, because I always been teased about that.
Right, that. So remember we talked about your name, the Thomas the Doubter. So remember, so the English, they do not have that such a custom. Americans, even worse. They just pick a name that they love. They just pick a name that is related to like mother or father or something happened that day. So in Burma, some people do that way. So, but a lot of people, they actually go to the astrologer, spend some money and calculate your whole life prediction and pick a name.
是呀
Yes.
ဒါကစကြပါတယ်ဟိုစာကြနေမှာလားမွေးတာစောက်ကြနေမှာမွေးတာနောက်ပြီးတော့ဟိုချွတ်လာမှုတီးဘူးဖျားပါတယ်လေပေါ့专门后来那下不好讲。
Yeah, so a lot of time the astrologer will have to pick the name with the date that you were born, but there might be reason why they choose different name that I'm not really sure. So I'm not really good at those. I read a few books when I was young. I was interested in those when I was young, but I really did not dig in detail. But I do know that like my parents were very serious about it. Like, for example, when Ted was born, I picked a name. I was in the United States. So I said, okay, I didn't know that I was supposed to have a name, because in this country, the culture is you pick a name before your baby was born. I didn't know. So when Ted was born, the nurses asked me if I had a name. I said, no. Then they said, well, we need a name because so that we can put in the documents and stuff. So I kind of came up with a name that I like. So the original name that I picked was Raza, because Raza means the king. And then I put my last name line at the very end. And I used Chamya. Chamya is my mother-in-law, Ted grandmother's name. So I took that as a middle name because Chamya also is meaning the peaceful, right? So it will be like peaceful and prosperous king. So I loved it. So I gave that name. Then I told my mom that, hey, you know, my son's born on this date and this time, and I picked this name. And my mother was so mad at me. So she said, why did you do that? And I said, what's wrong with that? It's a beautiful name. And it's Burmese. Are you not happy? So she said, don't you know you're not supposed to do that? And naming everything for that's good for their whole life. They said, I know a little bit about our culture, but I was not that serious. But she was very serious. Now, the same thing with my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was not happy either. So, oh, you're not supposed to do that. You are supposed to ask an astrologer, pick a proper name. You just can pick a name just because you love it. So then, a few days later, my mother went to a famous astrologer in Burma. They picked a name. Now that's how he got Tamilai. Then when I told my nurse at the hospital that, hey, you know, we want to change the name, she said, well, it's too late. We already sent it to the county. So county has already recorded with Raza Chamialai. So I said, well, that's the problem. What do? I want to change it. And they said, well, you're going to go to the county office. You're going to file a document. Then you're going to advertise in the newspaper. That will cost me about $600 about 15 years ago. At that time, I said, okay, you know what? Forget about it. I'm just going to keep Raza Chamialai official name. We're going to call him Tamilai. So Tat's official name is Raza. But the name given by my parents, by the guidance of the astrologer, is Tamilai. Now, what I'm saying is that the Burmese, the Indians, the Southeast Asians, has this tradition of picking a name. Now, those of you who were born here and your parents just pick an English name, and those of you who don't keep a Burmese name, that's okay. Okay, but it will be nice if you are curious about your name and you can ask your parents to calculate your stars and pick a name. At least you'll have a Burmese name. That'll be fun. So, all right. Anyway, let's move on. That I was explaining about the culture. So that's what he did. He went to the royal astrologer and asked about his horoscope and talked about, hey, this is what happened. All the weapons glittered last night when my son was born. Okay, let's continue. Let's see. Michelle, could you read, please? Bhagawan.
Bhagawan noticed that after each reading, the royal astrologer shook his head as if in disbelief. He muttered to himself after each round. He flipped through his astrological tables and charts. This cannot be true. Possibly there might be something not quite correct in the configuration of the times and the reading on the constellation of the planets. I must check this out again, he mumbled to himself. Bhagawan's anxiety heightened as the royal astrologer reviewed his calculations. Not able to hold his patience any longer, he pressed him for his verdict. The royal astrologer finally looked up at Bhagawan slowly and told him, I regret to be the bearer of sad news, Brahmin. According to my calculations, your son was born at an inauspicious time. To be precise, he was born under what is defined as the Bandit constellation. This means your son possesses an innate disposition to a life of violence and crime. Furthermore, the strange, sparkling light from the weapons you had witnessed at the time of his birth does not augur well for your son's future. As a matter of fact, the omen portends that he is destined to become a notorious bandit when he grows up.
Thank you, Tami. So the astrologer calculated so many times. And every time he calculates from different angles, different books, different chart, tell them the same thing. He was born in a very bad star. He is going to be a very notorious, dangerous bandit. Okay. All right. Jackson, could you read this, please?
Beggarlaw was devastated. He gaped with open mouth as the royal astrologer delivered with his heart-shattering opinion. One could well imagine Beggarlaw's great shock when told the readings of his son's unexpected horoscope. Her heart-stricken and burdened with great sadness, he made his way home.
Thank you. So, of course, as a father, if as a parent, once they find out that their kid, their precious jewel is going to be a bad one. Everybody will be really sad, heartbroken, right? Okay, Klein.
On the way home, he noticed city folk discussing about the strange flashes of light that had emanated from
Emanated.
emanated from their weapons the night before. He stopped his horse carriage to find out what exactly they were saying. Most of them expressed fear that the strange event was a bad omen. He overheard a person remark, "Ah, this is not a good omen." Another declared, "Some evil is going to strike the people of Kosala. The gods must be angry with Kosala," they concluded. Bhagawa's heart was more burdened with sadness over his son's future. He told himself that the people of Savatthi too had experienced the strange flashes of light, then the royal astrologer's predictions must be correct. As he journeyed home, brooding over what he had transpired, his heart grew heavier and heavier about the prediction of his son's future.
However,
he did not wish to inform his wife about their son's shocking horoscope. He simply did not have the heart to break the unhappy news to her. He knew that this would surely cause her much heartache and anguish. He resolved to bear the pain of his heartbreaking prediction of his son's future all by himself.
very good. Look at the father. He's sad. On the other hand, he did not want to tell his wife because he does not want his wife to suffer the same way that he is suffering. What a good father, right? So, but he's really, really sad. All right. Kevin, later that morning.
Later that morning, Bhagwa, as usual, reported to King Pasenati's court. He inquired from the monarch whether he had a sound sleep during the night. "How could I slept well, Brahmin?" replied the king. "A strange thing happened last night. I was awakened suddenly in the middle of the night by blinding flashes of light which gleamed from the royal coat of arms hanging over my bed in my chamber. As I woke up, I saw the royal armory blazing like a fire. The whole night through, my mind was preoccupied over the strange flashes of light in the palace. I was too perturbed to return to sleep. Initially, I thought that perhaps what happened was a nightmare or just my imagination playing tricks on my mind. But upon investigating this strange incident, I realized that this was not to be so. I could not help but feel greatly distressed by the unusual happening. I could not help but wonder, Brahman, could this be an omen signaling a danger to the kingdom or me personally? The Brahmin Bhagawa, being one of the most trusted and loyal officers of the royal court, addressed the king, Your Majesty, have no fear. The same strange phenomenon had taken place throughout the city of Savatthi. The mysterious happenings do not concern Your Majesty's safety and well-being. Last night, my wife was blessed with a son. At the time of his birth, all the weapons in the city had glowed as if they were on fire. With a heavy heart, he proceeded to disclose the king. I requested the royal astrologer to cast my son's horoscope and also consulted him about the mysterious happening. According to him, my son was born during a bandit constellation. This was what caused the weapons in the royal armory to dazzle brightly. He had predicted that the strange phenomenon portended a danger to Kosala.
Thank you. So it happens all over the country, happened in the palace. Even the king going to sleep, right? So harden. So we're going to read next paragraph, which is even better. All right, Miranda, go ahead with me.
Out of his loyalty to his monarch, Bhagawaz stated that he could not bring up a son who was destined to be a threat to the people of Kosala. He requested of the king whether his son's life is to be ended in order to protect the kingdom. He cited as justification the Vedic scriptures, which stated that one evil life may be sacrificed to save 100 lives. Based on this Vedic ruling, Bhagawa was a heavy heart submitted, Your Majesty, permit me to put an end to my newborn son before he grows up to be a notorious bandit and a threat to Kosala.
Thank you to me. So put yourself into this father's shoes. You have been expecting a baby. You really wanted a baby. Now you got a son. You feel blessed. You're happy. But it just turned out that that son is going to be the worst, not only for you, but also for the whole kingdom, for the whole country. What would you do? Now here, the father went to the king, decided that the Vedic scriptures, what are Vedic scriptures? So these are the scriptures followed strictly by the elites of Hinduism. So during the time of Buddha, they believe in Hinduism. Now, all the kings, ministers follow some very sacred scriptures that they believe in, called Vedic scriptures. Now, in the Vedic scriptures, the guide is if one person, that one evil life may be sacrificed to save 100 lives. If you need to save 100 lives, and if you need to sacrifice one's life, you will. So now if you are the father, what would you do? Now, imagine you are the father here. Would you kill your own son to save the country? Raise your hand if you would. So you will not kill your son. You would rather let the country or thousands and thousands of people die. Is that what you said?
You can change your destiny. You can just keep him trapped in the cage with you.
Vishal is
No. How about we do this? Did you remember how the Buddha's king, the father, told all the administrators not to let an old man or a monk or a sick guy in the palace? Do you remember that? Let's do that. Let's not.
Okay, all right.
Let's not let him see any knives.
Yeah, here's the thing. So if, let's say, I don't give you an option, you are to choose either. What would you rather? You have no other choice. You're going to pick one option. Okay, you can say, oh, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I be in the midway? Or can I change their destiny? No, that's not what I'm asking. All I'm asking is that if you are given only two choices and you have to pick one, you have no other choice, either to kill your son and save the country, or save your son and let the country, let hundreds and thousands of other people die. What would you pick? I will let you
The
both.
hardest would you rather ever.
Raise your hand if you pick the first one, like, okay, let my son die. Now, it doesn't mean that you will kill with your own hand, right? You just give it to the king will give it to the executioner, and they will kill. So, Kenneth, Michelle, Andrew, Ricky, William, okay. So,
Wait, can I give it away?
So, actually, of course, in life, there should be other options. But if you do not have, you look into all the other possible options, and if you have no other choice, okay, you'll have to pick that one. Definitely, you are not going to kill your own son with your own hand. But if you were to give it to the king or someone so that you can save thousands and thousands of other people's life, that's what you will do. But remember though, you don't make that decision right away. You really need to take your time and look for any possible other option that you would under the sun. Only if there's no other option, you will do that. Okay, so I'm with you. I will pick the first option myself too. If I have no other option whatsoever at all, I would rather save hundreds and thousands of people's life than saving my own son. Yes, you might think I'm not a good father. From that standpoint, yes, I'm not a good father. But on the other hand, I will be a good citizen. On the other hand, will I get bad karma by letting my son killed? Yes. But I will get a lot of good karma by saving thousands and thousands of the country's people life. So you gotta be brave, you gotta be decisive. But remember though, even though I'm asking you this kind of scenario, when you actually run this kind of thing in life, it's not easy at all. All right, so we're going to stop here tonight. We have a lot more to read for next few weeks. So this is a very, very interesting story and a lot of things to discuss, just like this. So think yourself too. If you ever get into this position, what would you do? Okay. So we're going to end here tonight.